Shalom, Yasharallah. This your brother Dawada, coming back at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise and honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And salutation, much love for you, I can push this truth and sincerity on the four corners of the earth and endured afflictions to feed and edify the elect. So I want to jump into this here article here on RT. Basically, roughly paraphrasing, hey, the curse is falling down on Esau right now, man. Heavy, and a lot of them can't stand it. We've seen it, as the years started building up to where we at now. All right, now as 2020 hit, you see a global economic meltdown. All right, but before this, you had the, you pretty much had an economic meltdown here in America as well too. Where as far as a lot of the retail stores started shutting down, which a lot of loss in jobs and things like that. All right, you just take away, go back to 2019. All right, all the jobs were pretty much gone. You have a gig-like society, where everybody's driving Uber, Lyft, Uber Eats, and things like that. These types of jobs or whatever, whatnot. Because the majority of these jobs have been shipped overseas. They're not coming back. But nevertheless, this is putting the so-called hurt on Esau, because you got to remember, this is Esau's heaven. All right, so everything is going to be good and luxurious for Esau, so on and so forth. In the flesh, sometimes we forget about these things. It's like, for instance, like in my job, I work out with a lot of these Edomites at their homes and things like that. They always live on golf courses, drive like these exotic sports cars and things like that, all kind of crazy shit. And it's sometimes you be rolling around like, damn, man, how come we can't just go out and get on the boat or whatever, whatnot, just live how they live? But you got to understand, this is their heaven, and we're in our hell. We're always oppressed always, But nevertheless, now to think the tables are starting to turn. All right, so I'm gonna read a little bit in this here article, which I covered this a while back. Nevertheless, but hey, it's still popping off. All right, it says, I lost multiple friends to opioids. The deaths won't stop while the system creates crisis to sell solutions. All right, now who are they gonna blame this all on? All right, they can't blame this on the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right, this is all quote unquote karma. All right, this is exactly what you got. These Edomites did to our people and destroyed our communities with these things. Took away the Native Americans' lands, put them on reservations, and took away their jobs, economics, and fed them a bunch of alcohol to where a lot of them, had like a slow suicide to where they just drank themselves to death, depressed, and everything like that. All right, went inside the so-called Negroes' neighborhood and basically took away all the jobs and the resources there, split up the household. All right, and put drugs and guns into the community. All right, so hey, it's just like you got a well-trained dog that he knows he's supposed to only be eating out of his dog bowl or whatever, whatnot. But then you don't feed the dog for days and days and days on end, and then you have some pizza on the table or whatever, whatnot, and you leave and you expect the dog not to eat the pizza, all right? Because he wants to survive, So he's going to do what he got to do. He's going to go outside of his normal norm just to so-called survive, But nevertheless, it says Purdue Pharma, the maker of Oxycontin, all right, which these are all Edomite companies, all right, is pleading guilty to charges related to his role in the opioid epidemic that killed over 400,000 Americans, and which, this is way deeper than this. This is all the Esau's witchcraft popping back up in his face, because if you know anything about those nations that they invaded after 9/11, again, just like COVID, that was the backdrop for them to implement what they wanted to do. All right, they had reasons to go inside of these other countries and stuff like that. For instance, the reason we still in Afghanistan, all right, is because our military troops are over there guarding those poppy fields, in which from the poppy plant you can create opium, and from the opium you basically get heroin, But nevertheless, and they're not going to tell you these things. They'll tell you, oh, it's because 9/11 they over there, like, well, none of those people came from those countries over there where y'all at, and we already know the situation behind all that. But nevertheless, that was their gods, just like they went into Iraq, and most people, in layman's terms, thought that Saddam Hussein had something to do with 9/11. Years later, they asked Bush about it, like, well, what did Saddam have to do with 9/11? It was like, well, nothing. We said that he had weapons of mass destruction. 20 years later, they never found no weapons of mass destruction over there. Not that Saddam had over there, but, maybe the American weapons that America brought over there to blow it up, but they never found anything, all right? It was for a different purpose, But nevertheless, it says American communities are being ravished. Not really American communities, all right? These Edomite communities are being ravished by so-called deaths of despair. So if you look at how they word a lot of these things now, when it was flipped around, when it was Jake that they was pushing this stuff on, it was like all these high crime ridden, thugged out ass niggas, all they want to do is sell drugs and kill each other. It's like a war zone out there, whatever, whatnot, But this was something that was created by these Edomites into our neighborhoods and things like that, man. All right, you just got to use common sense, man. All right, if Jake can't get a reasonable job to pay his bills or whatever, whatnot, and he has a choice. All right, do I go, go at this here job you're gonna underpay me for, or am I gonna use the resources around me to, make do with what I got, man? All right, but nevertheless, not promoting selling drugs or anything like that. But this is the scenario that they got them in right now, man. All right, just like as we read in this here article, because there's no jobs, there's an economic turn down. These people they're stressed out, they bugging out, and they're turning into drugs. All right, and then you'll also see that they turn to robbery and crime and things like this because of why? A lack of resources. You can find any drug dealer in any hood, you know what I'm saying? And be like, listen, let's just say you make $2,000 a month or a week. Let's say you make $2,000 a month, right? And you had a job that was going to pay you $2,000 a week, right? Now, any sane drug dealer, maybe not today because you got these young cats that just want to do it so-called be cool. But nevertheless, you find a real drug dealer that's been doing this for a long time or whatnot, knows the real stress about these things. You know what I'm saying? They'd be like, bro, I don't like people knocking on my door all times in the morning, junkies and shit, and people robbing me, looking over my shoulder from the police and never having this and never having that. I would rather go to a job and get a paycheck, either the same paycheck or a higher paycheck where I don't have all this here risk, man. All right, I could walk around with my money and I have to so-called try to find out where I got my money from or whatnot, worry about the police pulling me over and finding drugs in my car or whatever. Everybody that you potentially come in contact with, they could be potentially the police, man. All right, that's nothing like working at Walmart where you're a cashier or somebody at any of these stores, where somebody's walking up to you, it's like, damn, I'm checking this here person out. I could just get raided all of a sudden, Nobody wants that risk, man. All right, these are conditions created by Esau, all right, and pushed on our people. But now he's pushed it on his own self. So it says American communities are being ravished by so-called deaths of despair as the life expectancy of Americans is beginning to drop. These are these Edomites, all right, because we're multiplying at an extreme rate right now. Young people are seeing their friends fall out and die around them. Those shining few among them are angrily screaming the anthems of so-called end of history. Yeah, the end of their history. Nirvana's Kurt Cobain, for one example, are dead from their own despair, just like the others they knew. Growing up and spending most of my life in Kentucky, I experienced this despair firsthand and seen its effects. I remember when I got the call that my best friend in the world, Nick, passed away. Nick fought a long battle with heroin addiction, and it seemed he was just about to win, but succumbed right at that crucial juncture after he was released from a court-ordered rehabilitation program. All right, now you got this dude, Joe Biden, that had something to do with the 94 crime bill. All right, whereas, they got these outrageous laws to where, you get caught with a little bit of crack or cocaine or a little bit of weed or something like that. You know what I'm saying? And just like your boy, George Floyd, man, they tried to bring up his record that, he got arrested a couple different times for possession of cocaine, and looking into it, he was getting arrested for like a gram of cocaine or less than a gram of cocaine. I don't know too much about cocaine, but it don't sound like you're a big time drug dealer if you only got a gram of cocaine on you. When you watch these movies like Scarface and hear about Pablo Escobar and all these different shits, they got kilos of this shit, man. Who the fuck is trying to sell 1 gram of cocaine? Like, yeah, I'm a big time dealer. This dude was a user. But they don't talk about, he was released from this court program into a rehabilitation station. No, they lock Jake up left and right, man. All right, ruin their whole lives and careers because why? They have, they're self-medicating by these ways, and in reality, what we're looking at over here, because the same prescription drugs they have is the medical versions of the street versions of what they can get. They had these pills here. I forgot what they was called. They had these pills here. Oh, it was Oxycontin. Oxycontin, and there was another one. But nevertheless, they was basically synthetic heroin, right? So if you get a prescription for these things, and I did this in an old video, I was talking about how, and they was explaining how, racism actually helped Jake out in this scenario because, you got an Edomite and a Jake both go to the dentist, for a wisdom tooth to get pulled out or something, But the doctor would be racist saying, Jake pain level ain't as high up as these Edomites, so we don't got to really prescribe them the same medicine or the same amount of medicine because we know that these niggas gonna go around and selling their pills anyway. We don't want them to become drug dealers, right? But what wound up happening? These Edomites, when you hear about these Edomites be strung out on drugs, they can get all their drugs from at home out their parents' cabinets and things like that, man. All right, and hey, they go to work and whatever. I had a co-worker like this. This dude was clearly fucked up on some kind of shit, man. You know what I'm saying? Just gone. But nevertheless, these are the things that they prescribe to their own people, and now it's coming to bite them in the ass, all right? All because they were, depressed, or they going through certain things like this and that, Then they look at them as victims, all right? But they looked at us as perpetrators and things like that, It says, let me read that again. It says, I remember where I was when I got the call that my best friend in the world, Nick, passed away and fought a long battle with heroin addiction, and it just seemed he was about to win, but succumbed right at the crucial juncture after he was released from a court order rehabilitation program. And see, they word these things as if it's like, all sad and sentimental and so on and so forth. But then they talk about George Floyd when he got choked out for, I believe, what was he doing? One of them people, somebody was breaking up a fight or some shit, and they wound up getting killed or whatever, and they was trying to bring up some kind of other shit. Oh, he passed a fake $20 bill, or he was selling loose cigarettes. I don't know if that was the same dude or whatever, whatnot, but whatever it was, the dude that was selling the loose cigarettes wasn't selling loose cigarettes right then and there. And literally here in America, you can't really go to jail. Well, I don't know about every state, but you can't really go to jail for committing a crime where basically the value of the crime is like under $50. So if you go in a store and you steal a candy bar, it's not really punishable by jail because it's under $50. So even if he did pass a fake $20 bill, let's say he bought something that came out to $19.99 and he paid with a $20 bill, let's just call it that he stole it. That's still less than $50. And that's, let alone get executed on the spot. But they like to bring up, oh, well, he was a criminal. He had an arrest for cocaine possession and this and that. He got arrested for having a gram of cocaine on him. Like, homeboy was, not to say sick, but he was, probably coping with some shit. And this is just his so-called medicine or whatever to cope with, They always talk about this mental therapy or mental help. Jake don't got no money for no shit like that, man. All right? So they go find the next best thing, Ain't nobody, I can't find nobody. Well, I don't know. You got some young folks that do this, but for the most part, I don't really see nobody that's drinking alcohol and doing drugs and shit like this because they so-called like to. Maybe the young kids, but most people, they older and they stressed out, and these are their ways of escapism, Just like, you see younger 21-year-olds, they go to the bar and stuff like that to go out and go have fun and party. But once you go to the bar, you see the 35-year-old, a 40-year-old, 50-year-old. Some of them might be going out to have a good time, but a lot of them are going out to so-called ease the pain. They basically at the doctor's office, But continuing on, it says, I can still feel the moment so deeply, and they've changed everything for me, making me realize how fleeting life really is. Nick left us at the age of 21. In reality, this is your kingdom fleeing away. And again, look how they wording this. Oh, it's sad that he died at the age of 21. Well, what was Jake's motto back in the day, man? Hey, man, I'm just trying to live to see 25. You become an OG in the hood. If you grew up in the hood in the projects and shit, and you live past 25, you basically an OG because you done made it through all this here shit, man. All right, most young Jakes, they wind up dying at a younger age, man. All right? And nobody has sympathy for these types of things. They're like, oh, you made it past 25, blah, blah, blah. That's a real soldier. But then these Edomites, oh, he died at the young age of 21. He had his whole life ahead of him. But this dude was an everyday junkie, man. This dude was these are junkies, man. All right? This wasn't the first time I had to deal with this kind of situation, but it certainly was the closest one. All right? Now, again, if we was reading about Jake's, like, yeah, of course Jake got a lot of friends that didn't died and got killed or had overdoses or whatever, whatnot. That's just normal Jake activity. But now they're writing this as some kind of sympathetic letter, This wasn't the first time I had to deal with this kind of situation, but certainly was the closest one. In high school, a friend of mine, Johnny, was killed by a drunk driver after leaving a party some friends and I had organized. All right, so look, again, they over here breaking the law. They didn't organize the party where they was going to have alcohol at underage. But nobody want to talk about that. Like, well, they shouldn't have been having underage. This is why you shouldn't be drinking under 21. But no, they said that in high school, a friend of mine, Johnny, was killed by a drunk driver after leaving a party some friends and I had organized. Nick was one of those friends that was just there, and he was standing next to Johnny when he was struck and killed. He was only 18. The year before Nick died, another friend of mine from my high school who graduated a few years ahead, Corey, was gunned down in Cincinnati. Now listen to this. They want sympathy for this, but what type of activity? Now, if this was a Jake, they'd be like, oh, he was just up into some nigga shit. If he wasn't doing this nigga shit, these types of things wouldn't be happening to you niggas, right? It says he was apparently on a heroin binge, all right, meaning he was a junkie. He was strung the fuck out on some drugs, all right, and couldn't contain himself. All right, these types of monsters, these super predators need to be locked in a goddamn cage, man. Isn't that what you did to Jake, man? All right. It was I believe it was George Floyd. They were saying, oh, well, he was on drugs or whatever, whatnot, or, Breonna Taylor and them, they trying to say they was drug dealers. So, hey, well, this is why we, who cares if we killed them? They was drug dealers, and this guy used to use, he got arrested for cocaine, but then they want sympathy here. It says he was apparently on a heroin binge and tried to rob a dealer because he didn't have enough money. So, because they ain't have enough money to go get his drugs, all right, he gonna go and try to rob the dealer and wind up getting shot, right? Trying to seek help after being shot, he drove to a bank, frantically banged on the door. All right, now look, this is white privilege. You got the privilege to go and still be in the right on heroin. Tried to rob the damn dope boy, got shot, and you show up at the bank banging on the door for help, and nobody see. Oh, we gotta help him. He's a victim. But if it was Jake out there, like, oh, some strung out ass nigga out here on drugs, he might be trying to rob us. Police roll up and beat him, put more bullets into his ass, man. All right. It says he died at the age of 22 in the arms of a friend who was with him, Jacob, before help could arrive. Jacob himself died soon after from a heroin overdose only 6 days before his 21st birthday. All right, see, these kids all strung the fuck out, and they got the money to go get strung the fuck out on these drugs, man. You can only imagine this shit ain't cheap, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, like, come on, man. According to some friends, the person who was with him at the time didn't call the police out of fear of criminal charges. So they was out here doing some real nigga shit. You know what I'm saying? This nigga didn't wind up getting shot or whatever, whatnot. You know what I'm saying? And then they didn't want to call the police because they already knew they was doing some nigga shit, man. The person is now in assisted living home at the age of 26 after suffering brain damage from a heroin overdose, they say. You see what I'm saying? Another family friend, Derek, died at the age of 19. According to what I know, he had been facing a charge for possession of heroin as an immigrant living as a dependent under his father, who was in the country on a work visa. This may have caused some immigration relation problems for himself and his family, so he took his own life. You know, and that's, you know, going into Jake. All right. Let me read this last paragraph. It says, there are many more examples I could list, but these are the victims of America's despair. I knew the closest one common theme between all the young men were a similar disadvantaged economic situation. All right. Like I was saying beforehand, this is what they did to Jake. They took away all of our jobs and our resources, right? Because if Jake could go out and go get all these jobs as, you know, CEOs and, you know, these high prominent jobs or whatever, whatnot, and there's no way you can tell me, like, if I was able, fuck drugs, if I was able to go get a job making $30, $40, $50 an hour, right? Why would I want to leave that job to go work at McDonald's for like $8, $9 an hour? Don't make no sense. You see what I'm saying? But it says, one common thing between all these young men were a similar disadvantaged economic situation, and it's no coincidence, as was seen in the crack epidemic in the 1980s and 90s that affected black communities. Unemployment rates prior to it were high and only rising, influenced by departure of manufacturing jobs that first hit black workers, the last hired and the first fired, and those are the curses that's upon us, right? So now let's go into the scriptures real quick. All right. And hey, man, we're going to laugh at your calamities. The Most High is laughing at your calamities. Because what did y'all do to us? Y'all laughed at us and made us these bywords and proverbs and so on and so forth, man. These niggas is all on drugs. He might be a crackhead. He might be on crack. Who mama ain't a crackhead? Oh, your mama was a crackhead. Where was your daddy? He's in jail for selling drugs. And then they put your kids on these damn prescription medicines. It's the same shit that they locked their father up for, man. All right, Deuteronomy 30:7. And Yahweh thy power will put all these curses upon thy enemies, and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. All right, so now let's touch on some of these curses real fast. I'm gonna try to read through some of these really quick. Deuteronomy 28, verse 28. Now these curses were all upon us, but now they're falling on Esau. Yahweh shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart, and thou shalt grope at noonday as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt only be oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee. All right, and so, you know, this was the condition of Jake, man. You know, like the article said, the last hired and the first fired, man. All right, they took away all our resources, split up our household, introduced drugs and guns into our communities and things. We was all strung out, man. All right, and you see like Harlem and shit like that in the late 70s, 80s, and so on and so forth, you know. Well, really had the heroin situation before that. Then the 80s came around with the crack epidemic and things like that, man. All right, then after that, they broke up the households and everything like that. So we all destroyed, man. And we still out here destroyed, man. But nevertheless, now these things, and while Esau was living in his heaven and everything was all so-called good and kosher for them, but now their kids are all strung out on drugs and everything, man. They can't find jobs. They committing suicide left and right, can't pay their mortgages, can't pay for their yachts, their Lamborghinis and shit like that. They can't pay for none of these things, man. All right. Let me jump down to verse 33. The fruit of thy land and all thy labor shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up, and thou shalt only be oppressed and crushed always. And so, hey, going into these things, you know, when we had our own neighborhoods, you know, before they had integration, when we were segregated, all right, these are when you hear the stories about places like Tulsa, Oklahoma, or they call it Black Wall Street, Rosewood and things like that, all these different places, all right, because Jake was separate on their own spot, you know, so they had their own businesses, you know, their own bus lines, they had all their own, you know, everything that they had, you know, they own, all right, but then we wanted to transfer all of our wealth and everything unto them, so we didn't have no damn jobs, nothing like that, so we had to go to work and work for these Edomites, and they paid us the, pennies on a dollar or whatever, whatnot, you know, we had to go to our enemy for the one of all things, man, all right, but now all these things, you know, they say, oh, we built up this, they say that they built up this country, now they're losing everything, they're losing their jobs to these, basically these Israelites, so on and so forth, man, all these different things are happening to them, so now they're all so-called hurt, you know, especially with the COVID shutdowns, man, a lot of people lost a lot of their jobs, a lot of their small and medium-sized businesses went under, and ain't no coming back, you know, yeah, Jake do have some little small businesses here and there, but for the most part, you know, if Jake is on a small enough level, Jake know how to fly under the radar, because, you know, you see a lot of these, you know, so-called black men out here with their own little lawnmowers and shit, just cutting everybody grass in the neighborhood. That's his own business, but it's not like a pretty much a big mom and pop's business and things like that, whereas these Edomites had their little bakeries and their little bars and their restaurants and things like that that closed down, because why? They had these shutdowns, man. They don't know how they're going to pay their bills and so on and so forth. A lot of these farmers and things like that, man, a lot of them are committing suicide as well too, you know. Verse 34, so thou shalt be mad for the sight of thy eyes which thou shalt see. All right, and going into that, you know, they starting to see a lot of their kingdom come to a downfall. You know, there ain't no more jobs for them. All right, their wives are leaving them. Their children are so-called becoming basically, you know, have that nigga mentality. They want to be rappers and get gold teeth and shit like that. Their daughters want to sleep with Jake and everything like that, man. Their wives are leaving their husbands because they're losing their jobs and everything like that, man. All right, so look, man, these Edomites' kingdom is falling right before them, and they can't handle it. Like the scriptures say, one shall be stronger than the other, talking about the twins, Jacob and Esau. And we clearly see that Jake's still out here be trying to fight a little bit, man. Jake still got some fight in him. Some of these Jakes out here still got some fight in them, but look how long we've been being stomped out, man. All right, Esau ain't really been going through hell, but like literally starting to catch some hell, you know, what, the last 5 years, if that. You know what I'm saying? Let alone we've been catching hell since we got on them slave ships to come over here, man. All right, but nevertheless, hey, you still have some of us that still fighting. Now, the majority of us are docile, but some of us out here actually, you know, you see some of these older heads out here actually still standing up for, not standing with this here oppression and things like that. You know, whether it's the right or the wrong way, but nevertheless, you know, they not just gonna roll over and die like that. But these Edomites, they jumping off buildings and blowing their brains out and all kind of shit left and right, you know, having these drug overdoses and everything like that, man. Because why? They barely starting to catch a little hell, man. All right, it's like you at the beach and you feel a little the wind blowing, you get that little breeze. That's just a little breeze, bro. It ain't like you out there in the blizzard and the whole ground and everything is covered in snow. There's a difference between you being out there in a blizzard and everything covered in snow and you cold versus, oh, there was just a slight breeze and I got a little chilly. You know, hey, they right now they're in a little chilly stage, let alone wait till they get into the kingdom of heaven as servants, man. All right. Let me, wait, right here. Verse 37, and thou shalt become a proverb, so like, thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, a byword among all nations, whether Yahweh shall lead thee. All right, and going into this, you know, hey, everybody's like, oh, this, you know, is this the man? You know, and they all talking about the so-called white man right now. There's a dude on Vlad TV. I don't know if I'm gonna do a video on this or not, but nevertheless, it's a dude that's got an interview on Vlad TV right about now, named I don't know if Vlad tried to pronounce it a certain type of way or not, but it's Nuka Zeus or something like that. But hey, homeboy might be walking around and you know, he might have his people name it Nuka Zeus, like nigga Zeus or whatever, whatnot. But it's this Edomite, all right, who hate his life so bad because he's an Edomite, and he's starting to basically put steroids in his skin to produce melanin or whatever, whatnot, so he can look black, and he got cornrows and everything like that. This dude literally said, bro, I don't like the oppressor. I hate the oppressor, so on and so forth. If I can't be black, then I just don't want to live. All right. And, you know, some people are like, oh, that's just Jake. No, this is an Edomite trying to run from the curses. He see what the hell coming up, man. All right. But nevertheless, this is what's going on right now, man. All right. They starting to see, you know, the wickedness of these damn Edomites is being revealed right now, man. All right. And they see what their future is. It's like, damn, this is it for this here ride, man. All right. If this was the beginning of their kingdom, man, you wouldn't have these Edomites trying to be like Jake out here and listening to Jake music and everything. If we was falling out of power, they'd be like, nah, hell no, we want to stay far away from y'all. We don't want to be associated with y'all, man. All right, just like you have a lot of people over here in America right now that don't want to be associated with this America or whatever, whatnot. I'd be like, nah, we see that shit going down the drain quick. We ain't with that shit, man. You know? Let me There's one more I want to read. Oh, 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou beest destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of Yahweh thy power to keep his commandments and statutes which he command thee. All right, now again, these are the curses that fell upon us, but now the Most High said he's going to take the curses off of us and put them on our enemies. All right, so now all these curses is following Esau, all right, to the point, he can't stand the heat in the kitchen, so what is he doing? Taking drugs till he overdose, all right, becoming straight niggas out here in the streets, blowing their brains out here, killing up the whole family, you know what I'm saying, shooting up the job, going postal and shit. That's a term they got from Esau, because he, was having whatever problems at the job or whatever whatnot. They come to the job and just start blowing everybody's brains out, man, because he can't have it his way, man. All right, so let me go from there to Isaiah 14, 21 and 22. All right, because this is ultimately going to be the end all be all for these Edomites. Isaiah 14 and 21. Prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers. So like as we was reading in that article, they push this upon us first. All right, but now it's starting to turn back upon them. All right, so now it says, prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers. Yeah, they try to slay us with the drug problem, but now all of a sudden it's falling on them. And this is why they're trying to stop the incarceration and things like that. All right, because this is why the majority of people in jail are you so-called Negroes, man. All right, over simple ass drug charges. Not no kingpin charges. Not like everybody was no goddamn Big Meech or something like that, or Pablo Escobar type of shit. Nah, because maybe you got a possession charge. You just got your little shit that your little drugs you smoking on, and you just, get pulled over with that. And people doing like 30, 40 years over those things, or they just selling enough just to eat for the end of the night and pay their little bills or whatever, whatnot, So it says, prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers. They do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. For I will rise up against them, saith Yahweh of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name and remnant and son and nephew, saith Yahweh. So, hey, ultimately, this is the beginning of all these things. Because ultimately, this place is going to be washed up with thermonuclear missiles. But there's a lot of different judgments going out right now, man. Right now, the Most High is plaguing a lot of these people in their minds, all right? And they committing suicide. They have a term called death by despair. You can go on YouTube and watch all the videos about death by despair and how all these people are committing suicide over certain things. These Edomite women can't produce babies or whatever, whatnot. And that's driving them nuts, and they killing themselves. A lot of their men are losing economics, and they not suitable people for them or whatever, whatnot. So, hey, a lot of these people are just killing themselves left and right, left and right, left and right, man. All right. This is Psalms 49 and 11. It says, their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. Dealing with Esau, Edom. But, the point is that their inward thoughts is, it says, their inward thoughts is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. So they believe that America's going to go on forever. They're going to live in their kingdom of heaven forever. Everything was going to always be good. But now they starting to see the ship starting to sink. All right. Now they starting to panic. All right. Now they going into, they got to go commit suicide mode or whatever, whatnot, man. All right. But what their inward thought was, this shit going to be here forever, man. I'm going to always be up on top, man. I'm going to always be, be number one. I'm always going to be like this. I'm always going to be on yachts and driving nice whips and so on and so forth. But, hey, truth be told, you didn't consider the latter end, man. All right. You touched the apple of the Most High's eyes, and now you got to pay for these things, man. All right. Oh, speaking of which, because I just read that the inward thoughts that their house is going to go on forever. Oh, America's going to be here. This is Jeremiah. Was it 11 and 16? Or 16 and 11? Salakia, let me find this scripture real quick. Salakia. Okay, it's over here somewhere. Jeremiah 16:19. O Yahweh, my strength, my fortress, my refuge in the day of afflictions. The Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, and shall say, surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit. All right, so hey, you got a lot of these Edomites out here right now going to church and everything. God bless America. God save America. Pray for our sons. Pray for the opioid addiction. Pray for this and pray for that. Oh, God, 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 God. Hey, man, but these people weren't thinking about God until they started feeling a little bit of this here hell to begin with. All right, and now to point out, the reason I brought this in scripture out was because, hey, their inward thoughts that they was going to be in heaven forever, man. Are we going to always be on top of whatever, whatnot? You know, you see this even with a lot of these celebrities or rappers or whatever, whatnot. I can't even think of like the latest one or whatever, whatnot, who like one of these rappers who was bragging about how rich he was, how much he had at this and that. Then all of a sudden, you know, they wound up going broke, you know, and he's like the laughing stock of the situation, you know. But ultimately, like, see, that's what you get over thinking you was going to be balling out and, you know, throwing money out the window to homeless people or whatever, whatnot, and making fun of folks and this and that. Now your ass over here holding up a damn sign asking for money, man. But you thought that, oh, I'm a 100 million ass nigga, blah, 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 I ain't gonna never go broke. Now all of a sudden your ass got hit with taxes and whatever, whatnot, and your ass is broke, man. All right, so this is Jeremiah 16:19 again. O Yahweh, my strength, my fortress, my refuge in the day of afflictions. The Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, and shall say, surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanities, and things wherein there is no profit. All right, so hey, man, they thought that they was gonna live forever, America was gonna go on forever, and was never gonna fall, you know. And you know, it's gonna matter of fact, I'm gonna close out with this because this is actually in the scriptures. I'm not gonna read this. I mean, this is a whole good chapter to read. Let me start at verse 5. It says, sit thou silent, get thee in the darkness, O daughter of the Chaldees, for thou shalt be no more called the Lady of Kingdoms. This is talking about America, these Edomites over here, right? Because this is the golden city. Their pride has lifted them up, man. They thought they was gonna go on forever. Oh, who can take down the Air Force? Who can bring down America? Whatever, whatnot. You know, they think they're gonna live in the golden city forever, man. All right. I was wroth with my people, and I had polluted my inheritance and given them into thy hand, and thou did show us them no mercy, and upon the ancient hast thou very heavily laid thy yoke. So, hey, during the crack and heroin epidemics upon us, you know, they was heavily pushing these things and incarcerating us and giving us these huge prison sentences for things that weren't even warranted for those certain things. You know, you got these Edomites killing folks, and they might give them, you know, 10 years probation or whatever, whatnot, and then you pull Jake over, and he got a little small bag of weed on him or some shit like that, and then you lock his ass up for 35 years, man. Like, you know, what was that? It was a Young Jeezy song. He said, the name of the song was, matter of fact, I think it was the song Crazy World. He said, how the hell you get more time for selling dope than murder? You know what I'm saying? Now, in a sense, you know, selling dope, you pretty much are killing off your community, all right, in a sense. But nevertheless, you know, the people are coming up to you for these drugs at the same time, but you don't have a gun in somebody's head blowing their brains out. But you have people that'll, you know, which the girl name was, who went up in a Gene Botham's brother's house and wound up shooting this dude. The dude who got shot eating ice cream on his couch by this Amanda Geiger woman, right? She, I believe, got 10 years in prison, all right, which they will probably defer some of those years and give her like 5 years probation. She may serve 1 or 2 years in actual jail. You know, they gave her 10 years for killing somebody, walking into the wrong house after being off duty because she was going home, thought it was her apartment, so she was off duty. You know what I'm saying? Walked up into the wrong house and shot the wrong dude. Now, what kind of drugs was, and then they searched the homeboy and see what kind of drugs he was on. Like, well, what kind of drugs are you on? How long have you been living here? Like, bitch, you don't know which house is your house, which your floor is, what your door look like, even though it's the same, maybe the same apartments, all the doors look the same. I mean, it might be a distinguishing floor mat or something like, oh, this ain't even my crib, or I'm up one more floor or one more flight of steps. You know, like if you know you live on the bottom floor, you ain't never walked up the flight of stairs to get to your apartment. Now all of a sudden you walking upstairs, that didn't ring a bell. Or you know you normally walk up 2 flights of stairs before you get to your floor. You only walked up 1, that didn't ring a bell. But they have sympathy for her or whatever, whatnot, and so on and so forth. They give her 10 years in jail, but then they'll give Jake 30, 40 years in jail for having a little bag of weed on him, man. Because he want to go and escape from his hell that he's in, man. All right. Verse 7, and thou hast said, I shall be a lady forever, so that thou did not lay these things to thy heart, neither did thou remember the latter end of it. You know, because, hey, they inherited the laws. They thought they was going to go on forever. Therefore, hear now this, thou art given to pleasures, thou that dwellest carelessly, and saith in thy heart, I am, and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. See, they thought they was going to go on forever again. But these two things shall come to pass in thee in one day, the loss of children and widowhood, and they shall come upon thee in their perfection for the multitude of thy sorceries and the great abundance of thy enchantment. All right. Yeah, that was all I was gonna read there. Like I said, this whole chapter is a good one, but for time's sake, just hitting on these points about the depths of despair, man. The curses, that's another code word for the curses falling upon Esau. Deuteronomy chapter 30 and verse 7, man. So Lord will and the elect was edified with this here lesson. Until next time, I say call halal Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakak Kodash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders of great millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And citation and much love for you. I can push this truth and sincerity on the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Until next time, I say stay strong. Shalom.